Yes, it's number one. It's Top of the Pops.
I was toured. I had two brothers and then me and then another brother, and then it was a few years before there was a girl and the rest. But it was like we all read, and I was, when I became the girl, I was like the mammy, you know, and I looked after the rest coming up. And I remember even going to the Kevin's Hospital, James's, wherever it's called now, and collecting my mother from the hospital when she had one of the babies. I was only 10. So you became a mother, you know, and everyone did. Like, you took on the role to help the mother with all these other little things that was coming behind you. I love dancing. I love dancing because I'm dancing since I'm not great at it, but I'll follow the music and I'll follow what everyone else is doing, but from a child, like, always music and dancing. My father was always singing. My mother wasn't, she was very quiet. He used to go to the pubs and he'd be the first one up to sing, you know. And he'd have us all dancing in the room and he'd come in. It was all singing and dancing in between the hardships and stuff that went on. Because you were free, you weren't told you can't go here, you can't go there. You were free to do what you want. But we didn't get into trouble. We were always kind of up to mischief, more so than trouble, you know.
And it's a welcome to this week's top DJ, Tony Blackburn.
Do you remember Top of the Pops and go-go dancing? We used to jump on the stage and do the go-go dancing because we had a few little drinks inside us, so we used to get real brave. And if we went somewhere, we'd get up and sing, you know, hadn't a note in my head. But when you have a drink on you, great. You know what I used to love when I became a teenager? Puppy love. Do you remember Donny Osmond and that type? And then, what's that guy? Elton John. Loved his music. And Elvis, when I was a younger one, I loved Elvis. I went to every one of his films.
Well, I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire.
You had to work to get your money because you didn't get pocket money. So there was a lot of neighbours. You would do Saturday, I would do a certain woman's shopping, and I would go to the laundrette and do all her bits and pieces that she needed done because her family had moved to America, and she'd give me a few shillings or whatever. So I'd be made up then for the weekend to do my cinema and whatever else I was doing. But yeah, it was a great community and a lovely place.
Black as the dark night she was, got what no one else had.
When I came in Ireland, you know, I like Ireland very much because they have multicultural people, you know, and every time you meet people from different places. And the Irish people, honestly, it's lovely, kindly, and they help me and my family a lot. Because, you know, I meet the people and when ask me from where are you, and I said from Palestine, everyone, you know, when I look for the faces, happy for this, and oh, you are from Palestine. And all the people here I meet, they support Palestinian people. Especially the last war happened in Gaza. We have many protests, you know, and many, maybe more thousand people, they come and support us for this thing from the Gaza. And now I feel Ireland is a part in my life, and it is the second home from me, like Palestine. I am very happy to be here and to meet peoples, Irish peoples, and I do the best for these people because they do a lot for me. I want to talk about my husband when he worked in a university in Gaza. Every time he talked about Ireland and the history of Ireland, and many people, students, came here from do masters. This is the students from my husband in the university. And when because Dr. Asad Abu Sharh told about the history of Ireland, and every time told us, if you can want to continue studied, I prefer to travel to Ireland. It is opportunity for any people to travel and continue studies because Ireland is the best, Many people here came in Ireland and I invited in my house. This is the students of my husband. They continue 1 year here Ireland, give every year for 20 or 25 people to continue study here. It is something, when I saw the people, and I am very, very happy for this.
The biggest thing in my life was dancing. I loved dancing and I still do. And I feel it keeps me alive. I love music, I love dancing. I feel like I just say to people that I speak to, my husband died 9 years ago and I lost him and we were 53 years married. And I felt like, what am I going to do without him? Because he was the funniest guy. He was a real Dublin banter man. He'd come out with funny things. Everyone loved him. They all called him a legend. And all my children, loved him. They miss him terrible for the fun. But most of them are like him. They're taken after him. Thank God, we have good laughs. But I sat in my room, in my bedroom, and I said to myself, what am I going to do here? I don't want to be a burden on my kids. I don't want my kids saying to me, oh, Mum, oh, poor Mum, what'll we do? Will we bring her out? Will we do it? So cute enough, I wasn't very well up in phone and all that, but I Googled dancing. And that's where I started, because I'd done it years ago and I loved it. Now, me and my husband danced all through the years, rock and roll, of course, from the 60s. And when I was a kid, I Irish danced. I so enjoy every bit of this. And I can't get involved enough. You're motivated to get your hands moving, to get your head moving, to get everything, like doing a little bit of exercise for women our age. And women are head problems, with knee problems, and it's no problem to them. They're doing it, and it's brilliant. It's good for your head, it's good for your mental health, and you just feel like you're the ballerina of the world. I see women my age, and my heart pours out for them because they don't motivate themselves to do these things. It's really mind over matter. Make yourself get up in the morning, do something. Get out, because really it's the worst thing in the world to sit back and I just say to my children, if I'm ever dying lying in the bed, just play music and I'll be up dancing. You'll see me getting up there.
I always walked. For all my life I've been a walker, and some of it was because I just wouldn't have the bus fare, and a lot of it was because I just wanted to be by myself. It was my alone time. I used to walk for 4 or 5 hours a day just to be by myself, because when you're from a large family, there's no hiding place in a small house. And then when I just like to my headspace sometimes. And then when we couldn't go to dance classes over the last couple of years, I started a walking group, and we walk 5-6 hours a day, and it's what I like to do. I'll probably need 2 new hips soon. I love my freedom. My dad was a jazz musician and a classical violinist, so we had a lot of music. We had music in the house all the time. He learnt in school. We never learned to play an instrument. It was always, there was never enough money to send us to classes, and if there was, it went on the Guinness down the pub. We never had alarm clocks. We just had my father coming in with his violin or a saxophone every morning to get everybody up for school or work, and that was my childhood. And I hated that kind of music for years because I just hated that, that first sound in the morning. Shit, I have to get up. I'm a big reggae fan. I've always been a reggae fan. Always. I love the reggae.
My name is Doris Weldon, and I'm a big fan of Cliff Richard's. Cliff Richard, I should say, it's not an S on the end of it. But the first time I saw him, I was only a school child, and an aunt of mine brought me to the National Boxing Stadium on South Circular Road. And it was Chubby Checker she was going to see. But when this fella came out with jet black hair, a guitar, rock and roll music, he was 19 at the time. A couple of years later, came back with the Shadows to the Adelphi Cinema in Dublin, and I was there, and it was brilliant. After that, any time he came, I was there. But eventually, as I got older, I was lucky enough to write a letter to him, and I got an invite to go to his vineyard in Portugal, which was an amazing experience because he sang for us, he joked with us, and then he stayed back and had a single photograph taken with every one of us. There was 1,400, by the way. Then I had the pleasure of, a couple of months later, I had the pleasure of getting an invite to his summer ball in the Royal Lancaster Hotel in London. As a child, I did Irish dance, so I started out from, if I could walk, like doing some sort of dance. And at 3 years of age, my mother was teaching me how to jive. And at the summer ball, I forgot to say that I was lucky enough to get to do the conga with him. So I just happened to step out at the right time, and put his hand on my shoulder and the other hand around my waist. And of course, needless to say, I was as happy as Larry.
Drimna Dream. Eleanor picked up a dandelion head in blue, the seeds scattered out into the sunshine, floating and twisting onwards. However, some fell flat into the moat. 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock, she said as she blew, not really knowing what this meant. Her Uncle John, who was a monk, said they had a clock. It marked out the monastery's days of prayers and tasks. Eleanor had heard that there was a clock which marked out the hours in faraway Dublin too. Her father and brothers were off hunting. She picked up her long skirt and ran up the steps of the castle to the roof. She looked over the parapet to see if she could see them coming. The sun was getting low in the sky. They would be back soon. She could see the Wicklow Hills and the sparkling Camac that ran from their castle in Drimna to the island of the goats in Kilmainham. As she looked out over the countryside, she felt dizzy. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, everything was quiet, just like her home. But instead of the Camac, she saw grey roads and strange little houses lining them. The few people who were out and about were walking in single file. Some wore masks. Maybe the plague had visited those people. As they walked, they seemed to avoid each other, like strange cats meeting. In the empty roads, seagulls swaggered like blustering knights. Those birds acted as if they owned this strange territory. Eleanor closed her eyes again. Everything was once again as she knew it. Her home, the familiar sound of birdsong and the noisy chickens. The cow in the nearby barn mooed loudly. It was her time to be milked. Then there was the sound of horses. Her father and brothers were back home. Another day had passed when time seemed to stand still. But she was so happy to be in her home and not in that strange place in her vision. She ran down the stairs to greet them, looking forward to hearing all their stories.
Hey, today is amazing day. I was swimming today, the first time in my life, in Ireland actually, the first time I swim, so I am so happy. I did it today, I managed to swim. It's freezing and cold, but I was delighted I did it. Because long time I want to do it, but because I am alone, I frightened to go by myself. I need something to push me. But when I see that brochure in that community, was I take very much that community. It's helped me a lot of things. I make friends. I used to go there with Richie, go in many places. I was delighted to see that group and to meet that people, you know. It takes a long time to do it. I was sitting step by step. All women, they go on, then they keep, come on, you can do it, come on, another step. But really, I was screaming, it's cold. Then I come back, then I go again, then I go. Then I decide just I have to go. Then I throw myself inside. And I was screaming, but it's good. After swimming, I feel it's okay. But just I have to move, to keep moving, because when I sit down, I keep shaking. So we swim just this half an hour like that. So the worst part when I finished, that's I was shaking. I couldn't move my hand. Then I have to dress myself. Then that was tough. But I managed anyway. I came home with a hot shower. I have to have very hot shower to have some breakfast food. Then I feel okay. But I'm happy I did it.
The world is full of great ideas, but putting them into, sectioning them off and trying to achieve them, I started to organise. When nobody else was doing it, I'd say, I'll do that. So you learnt as you went along. I used to be a control freak, so my daughter has talked me into being a person who waits, doesn't do anything but waits for the outcome. She's too smart for her own good. It's a hard thing not having people controlling your life, and I fight it all the time because I'm a strong person. I lived with my grandmother. She quoted the Bible and Shakespeare at will. Her mother died when she was 3 weeks old, and her grandmother reared her, and her favourite place was the concert hall in Belfast, and they saw all the plays. If they didn't see them, they read them. They were really interested in the story. Story was the most important thing, but they loved the visual. And she loved the fact even that a man came up sitting at an organ and played for 15 minutes before the film started. You could sing along, you could... Anyway, it was a way of life, I suppose. But I was reared in that. My mother and father brought me to the pictures because they had nobody to mind me, so I went to the pictures with them. Citizen Kane. My dad never stopped complaining about it. He said, hey, what was it about? A bloody... Who was Rosebud? He could never figure out that Rosebud was the maker's name on the sled. So I was used to it all being discussed. All these films were told when they came home and discussed when they came home. But Rosebud seems to be the one that is stuck in my memory. I remember going to see the sort of semi-religious films, you know, Fatima and Lourdes and all this, and being terrified that the moon was going to get me or the sun. But I loved all that. I loved the cinema.